time we discussed.
Okay.
I'm heading research methodology. Leadership totally yours.
Yes.
Huh?
Okay. So, should I start? Ma'am, you are mute. Ma'am, you are muted.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Yes, yes, I know. So I'm starting. So welcome all. So to the research methodology session. So research methodology is not merely an academic requirement for ophthalmology students, postgraduate students. It is a vital tool that strengthens clinical competence, promotes innovation, and improves patient care. A postgraduate student who is trained in research methodology becomes a better clinician, a teacher, a contributor to the advancements of the clinical science. There are 10 important points. I will just count why research methodology is so important. It promotes evidence-based practice. It improves clinical decision. It encourages scientific temperament. It helps in thesis work. It enhances academic and publication skill. It supports innovation in ophthalmology. It improves public health and community eye care. It develops ethical understanding and prepares for higher studies and fellowships. And it contributes to better patient outcome. So with this, we welcome Dr. Bharat Gurnani, and we are going to introduce him first. And after that, we will just give a one-line introduction of the postgraduate students.
So it is my great honor and privilege to introduce a phenomenal academician, a brilliant clinician, and an exceptionally prolific researcher, Dr. Bharat Gurnani. Dr. Gurnani is a leading consultant in cataract, cornea, and refractive services at Gomabai Netralaya, Madhya Pradesh. An alumnus of AFMC Pune, AECS Pondicherry, and AIMS New Delhi. He holds premium global credentials, including FICO and MRCS Edinburgh. As an absolute titan in the research arena, he has published over 340 peer-reviewed papers, reviewed more than 500 articles for major medical journals, and has delivered scientific presentations across 50+ national and international conferences. He is a winner of over 50 global awards, including the recent 2026 APAO Achievement Award. His works embodies the true essence of research and innovation. Welcome, Dr. Gurnani.
And then we have to introduce one-line postgraduate students.
Thank you so much.
Just wait, please. We are introducing the postgraduate students one line.
Sure.
We have postgraduate students from Bokaro General Hospital. There is Dr. Anamika Thakur, Dr. Nupur Gupta, Dr. Tushar Dhiman, Dr. Ujjwal Kumar. From Gandhinagar Hospital, we have Dr. Firdoz Jahan, Dr. Lalita Priya, Dr. Ledgogin Hokib, Dr. Simpi, Dr. Divya Gunjal, Dr. Ledgogin, Dr. Uma. From Kashyap Memorial Eye Hospital, we have Dr. Anchit Parekh, Dr. Gagandeep Singh Gulati, Dr. Ishad Khan, Dr. Neeraj Jha, and Dr. Sakshi Spurge. From Mahavir Manipal Hospital, Ranchi, we have Dr. Pooja Tanwar. From MGM Medical College and Hospital, Jamshedpur, we have Dr. Amar Kumar, Dr. Vikas Thakur, Dr. Mayank Saran, Dr. Neha Chaudhary, and Dr. Nidhi Sharma. From Rio Rims, Ranchi, we have Dr. Adarsh Mehta, Dr. Anamika Chaudhary, Dr. Manju Kumari, Dr. Shrishti Shreya, Dr. Sonia Ghosh, Dr. Swati Kumari, and Dr. Shweta Kumari Vatsala, and Dr. Vatsala Kumar. And from Tata Main Hospital, Jamshedpur, we have Dr. Bhavya Chaudhary, Dr. Raksha Agarwal, Dr. Richa Tiwari, and Dr. Sana Abdul. So welcome all PGs.
And our chairpersons are Dr. Sunil Kumar, RIMS HOD, Dr. Sufia Ahmed, she is the head of Bokaro General Hospital, it's a teaching institute, Professor Bharti Sharma, again a teaching institute, TMH, Jamshedpur, Dr. Deepak Lakda from RIMS, Dr. Seema Kumari, Associate Professor, Jamshedpur Medical College, again a teaching institute, Dr. Nidhi Gadkar from Kashyap Memorial Eye Hospital. All of them are teachers from very highly praised teaching institutes of Jharkhand. So over to Dr. Bharat Gurnani.
I'll share my screen, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So Sophia, your students have joined now?
My slides are visible, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Jharkhand Ophthalmological Society, Dr. Bhati Kashyap ma'am, Professor Sunil Kumar, respected faculty, jury, and all the postgraduate colleagues and everyone, all faculty were participating. So I'm basically an alumnus of FMC Pune and Arvind Eye Hospital. I owe all my teachings to Arvind Eye Hospital, and I'm currently working at Gomabai Netralaya, Nimach. So on a short notice, I am presenting this, but I'll present about basic aspects of research and publication, as Dr. Bharti ma'am already enlisted few of my slides, but I'll go in detail about each and every aspect, or I'll try to cover some of the aspects in 1 hour, whatever is possible. The basic idea is to stimulate the residents and the fellows and the faculty, so that if we start early in the career, we can reach to a good level. And why there is an importance of research and publication. What is the importance of research and publication? Why should we do it at an early stage? And how to go about, what are the basics, what should we know before starting, and what are the tools, what are the common mistakes we do, and what is the impact of early research in our career. So I'll start. So as madam already told, this is basically a era of evidence-based medicine. If we describe evidence-based medicine, it's like conscientious, explicit, and judicious use of best current evidence in making decision about. So how evidence-based medicine helps? It helps in making decisions about patient care, and how evidence comes from research and patient care and what research and what publications we are doing on the. This helps to make decision making in our clinical day-to-day life. So before starting, we should know that like any resident or any postgraduate who is starting, they should know there is some hierarchy of evidence, what material is available to us online. There is a haphazard material, a lot of material is available online. But what is the hierarchy of evidence? We should know what papers to read, where to target. So first and foremost is systematic reviews and meta-analysis, which is the topmost tier of evidence available to us. Then comes the randomized control trials, then cohort studies, case control studies, case reports, expert opinion. So how this evidence-based of methodology medicine impacts ophthalmology? It helps to understand the common clinical conditions more better, like such as glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, ARMD, like a lot of stagings, a lot of protocols, a lot of treatment decisions we are doing and we are following has been through evidence-based medicine and through research and publication. Okay, so it helps to understand the therapeutic protocol based on peer-reviewed clinical trials and studies. So what is the application of evidence-based medicine in ophthalmic research and publication? So we should, when we are planning a research, like we should know the PICO framework, basic framework, like what population we are intervening and what is the intervention. Suppose a set of population from a northeast area and we are doing some intervention, like maybe excision of OSSN, biopsies we are taking, and we are comparing with the patients who are being treated medically, and then we are understanding the outcome. So this helps to answer our questions better. So we should always have that mind that PICO framework has to be followed. It helps in evaluating the validity, the importance and relevance of research finding for clinical practice. It helps us to make a better clinician and helps us to, like, a person in like suppose a keratoconus patient in North India is very different, has a very different presentation from a keratoconus presentation in South India. So this is how we can understand like how these patients are presenting and how these are faring up with our treatment protocol. So the clinical protocols can be targeted and formulated. So when we are designing or we are doing any study, we should have some basic knowledge that the publications available with us, what are the top-notch publications and what material to follow. The systematic reviews and meta-analysis are top-tier publications in ophthalmology. So we should have that in mind that we have to follow the protocols or the evidence available from them. And the second best are the randomized trials and cohort studies, ensuring high quality evidence. So coming to the level of evidence in clinical research. So anyone who is starting publication or a literature review should understand that these are the publications which we should always target: systematic reviews and meta-analysis of randomized trials. For example, anti-VEGF therapy in AMD. So there are a lot of articles available. If a good systematic review, if we go through, we get a lot of information and we understand what has already been done, what is the level of evidence available, and what can be a research question next, what can we try. For example, the tube versus trap study, which is a landmark study, again gives a lot of information and changes our practice patterns. Then second level of evidence comes from randomized trials. So which are mostly the thesis or the publications which we do at the medical college level. When a student comes, we assign them or we give them studies which are randomized trials. So these are basically experimental studies where patients are assigned randomly to different groups, either a comparison group or a control group. And for example, diabetic retinopathy patients, which we suppose one group is being tried with anti-VEGF or other group is being laser photocoagulation. Similarly, a subset of population with flax and comparing with phacoemulsification, the outcome. This is like the studies we are planning. And for example, if I give you an example, we published this paper in 2022, a meta-analysis of pythium. The pythium meta-analysis was missing. So this is the highest level of current evidence available on this paper. And another paper I published in 2023, a systematic review on DMAC. So this is this paper has around 40 citations now. So this is the level of impact of a good systematic review. And this was my thesis, what I was translating, RCT, motivational cards versus verbal counseling in sibling screening of POAG probands, which published in IGO. So this is how, if a very good concept and a good framework is there, we can these studies go to a very good level. Then comes the cohort study and the case control study, which are the very common studies. Cohort studies, basically, we take a subset of population and follow them over a period of time. If we are assessing the outcome in future, these are prospective studies. And suppose we have already evaluated the patients and we are taking the data and backwards, and that is called a retrospective study. For example, retrospective comparison of a patient with or without condition. For example, we have done corneal transplantation in around 50 patients, and suppose we are assessing the outcomes in future, that will be a prospective. And if you have already done the transplant and we are taking the data backwards, it can be a retrospective study. I'll show you a few examples. Similarly, for keratoconus patients. And this provides useful information and prognosis and risk factors. These are the basic levels of studies which we can do at any level. Okay. Then comes the case series and case reports, which are basically a lower level of evidence. And these, for example, reports on common conditions like acanthamoeba keratitis, or rare case series like experience of Rho kinase inhibitors in patients with Fuchs endothelial dystrophy, like that. So these are useful for rare conditions. Basically, case series and case reports have importance where there is some rarity. So I'll just give you an example. This was one of the papers, again, we published in 2000, first retrospective analysis of Pythium and review of literature. So it has a huge impact, 61 citations now for this paper. So another was, this was one of my grand rounds cases. So I converted into a clinical case series. We published in clinical. So rare case series, first clinical case series. There was no case series available. So if you have rare things available with you, you can publish them in good journals. And this was another case report, rare case report, pediatric pythium, which was published in 2022. So in this way, you can, so always, if you are going for case report, case series, look for some rarity or some successful management kind of that. Cohort studies, case control studies, a larger sample size would definitely have a huge impact. Then the last one is the expert opinion and mechanistic studies.
Dr. Bharat, I have
Yes,
a
ma'am. Tell me,
question.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What I have understood is what we do a prospective analysis and retrospective analysis. So retrospective analysis, we already done cases we do the research that what was
Yes.
the outcome, and
Yes,
in
ma'am.
prospective analysis before starting we
Yeah.
divide the group.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I
Correct.
right?
Yes, correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Proceed.
So that the important catch point is perfect documentation, because whenever you're doing a retrospective study, if suppose you have a lack of documentation, you may not be able to do that study perfectly, because you are doing that in retrospect. And if you are doing a prospective study, you are already planning everything. So suppose you are planning visual outcomes or endothelial cell count, so you already know I have to evaluate this thing on the. So here comes the importance of correct documentation.
So
That is
which
very
one is better, prospective or retrospective? Prospective, right?
Prospective definitely has a higher level of
Yes,
evidence,
yes.
and it has more impact, no doubt.
Yes.
And now comes the expert opinion and mechanistic studies, which very few people know. So suppose there is a condition and which is very less known. So you can publish a paper on that, and you can give your clinical experience. So these are the higher level. Sometimes the higher level of evidence are generally missing in these things. So you can give your clinical recommendation and you can publish. I'll just give you an example. So this was one of the papers. I'll really cherish this one of the papers on keratoconus and fugue. This one patient came to me and I read one paper. I was amazed to see, like I was like in my 7 or 8 years of practice, I have never seen a patient of keratoconus with fugue. Then it made me so inquisitive that I thought there is some link. How that is linked? The one is a endothelial disease, and one is more of a stromal or a epithelial kind of a disease. So there is a very rarely a endothelial involvement in keratoconus. So I went into the depth and understood there is some genetic link documented. I reviewed 70 papers and we published the hypothesis, and it was based on the evidence. And so this was one of the papers I really cherish. So you can do when something something makes you like think about it. Now you go into the depth and understand. Another one was this one. I was reading a lot of papers on Pythium. So there were few papers in Thailand which showed that there's no treatment available for this entity, and they showed that.
Paper.
They show that infiltration and evisceration is a treatment strategy for Pythium. But in our region, we were seeing that a lot of patients we were able to treat medically as well as surgically. So I designed a protocol that there is a difference in prognosis. Probably the presentation of the species is different. So I published this paper, and we proposed a novel treatment protocol for Pythium. So we publish this severity grading also. So if something like amazes you or something, there is a lot of inquisitiveness about something, there is no end to it. You can go to a next level. And what I was talking about, the expert opinion. So this is one of the papers in expert review of molecular diagnostics about the OSSN. So less is known about molecular and epigenetic opportunistic mechanisms. So I published this. So now this is the basic understanding that there is a background that what to read, what is the level of evidence, and what can be published. Now, how to go about it? What are the databases available for clinical research? So now we have a framework, we have a research question, we have PICO formulations like we have the PICO protocol in our mind. For example, for glaucoma, what are the effects of Rho kinase inhibitors versus beta blockers on IOP reduction? This is one of the examples. So choosing the right database, very important. You just can't go and search everything and just take it down. It's very difficult to make notes for everything and all. So we have basically, if you divide your research in your search strategy into basic broad headlines like Google Scholar and PubMed, usually this will suffice most of the thing. Google Scholar is a broad multidisciplinary database used for initial research, but PubMed is a more comprehensive biomedical database with more higher level of evidence on clinical research. So you can use there is a terminology called Boolean operators. You can use Boolean operators. Many of you in the senior faculty will be knowing it to narrow down your search. I'll show you the example, and you can also use the filters for article types, publication date. For example, if you type DMAC on PubMed, so you'll see there are 12 to 43 papers. Okay. But if you narrow down with Boolean operator, DMAC and rejection, it will just give you the papers with DMAC and rejection will search, narrow down your search to 253 paper. But if you type DMAC or rejection, there will be 1,63,000 papers. So it will become problematic. So in this way, you can use your tools very well. And for example, DMAC and not rejection again will give you 990 papers. So in this way, there is a tool available, but how to use it is also a smart strategy. Okay. And if I was talking about for example, if you want to see how many papers were published in 2020, 2021, you can click here and see publication dates, text availability. If you click on them, it will filter down or narrow down your approach or strategy of search. Now, using the optimizing search strategy, also we can use the mesh headings. Okay, mesh headings is medical subject heading. A lot of times it is asked in Vivas also, what is mesh terminology? Mesh basically is medical subject heading for, suppose, FLACS. FLACS is a standard terminology, femtosecond laser assisted cataract surgery, ARMD. If you type the mesh headings, it will give you better results than compared to typing IOL surgery or cataract surgery, like whichever the standard defined terminologies in the medical literature are there, you use them. And
I could not understand this. Like suppose I am
suppose you're writing macular degeneration, so it may not give you the all the papers on ARMD. It may give you myopic macular degeneration.
So I have to write mesh also.
If you want to search, because whenever we are doing a literature search, we have to use mesh terminology.
Means we have to write what we are searching and then mesh. And mesh में आपने E small लिखा है.
Mesh is basically mesh is cataract surgery. Basically, cataract surgery is mesh heading. Okay.
There are some mesh is the subject. There are some standard word of the medical subject.
Yeah, medical
already defined.
Yeah,
already
suppose I am I want to Google for I am making some presentation. I want to search for some comparative analysis. Then if I write that comparative analysis terminology,
terminology is only for PubMed.
Yeah.
Yes, PubMed में जो खोजते हैं, तो उसमें last में we have to write MESH.
No.
Just
MESH is
age-related macular degeneration is the mesh terminology, basically. Macular degeneration is not understood. Yeah. Suppose pythium insidiosum keratitis.
How will you know that whatever we are searching is what is the mesh terminology for that?
This is already defined, like suppose pythium keratitis and then pythium insidiosum keratitis. These are mesh terminology rather than pythium. Pythium
also when we publish any paper, then we have to give the MESH wording for that paper. Medical
literature search strategy.
So you'll have suppose I am searching for ODC IOL comparative analysis with panoptics. Then what will be the mesh terminology?
No, it doesn't come under the subject heading.
Okay.
It will not show the subject heading.
Medical subject, basically the disease.
It should be the standard.
Okay.
Understood. So then comes the Google Scholar. Google Scholar also you can narrow down your research. But I'll show you how if you put in semicolons, then the results are different. If you put a minus sign, then the results are different. And you can also adjust the time range to access the most of the studies. And other source of literature available is the peer-reviewed high-impact journals for stronger evidence, and check another important thing to see how many times the article or the study has been cited. Means if this paper has been cited a lot of times, means this is ethically and medically very correct. Okay. So if you go on Google Scholar and you type cataract surgery, you will see 74,000 results. But if you type in the like semicolons, you will see 4,49,000. You find search. Okay. And if you just type cataract surgery complications, will be 4,38,000. But if you see a few then you will see 4,300 results. So it will narrow down your search. Okay. And another thing, you see the time range. You can customize this and you can sort your dates. You can see the included patents and all. There are a lot of different options available to narrow down your research. But usually our search strategy is more than enough with PubMed. Only sometimes you have to see the Google Scholar because it is very widespread and a lot of haphazard data is available. So now coming to the reviewing and managing the clinical research. Now, how to see which paper is good, which is not good. So the first and the foremost about a particular paper is a methodology. You go about the methodology. Any suppose a resident is searching about a paper, or suppose he is doing literature review for his own thesis. So always how to see which is a good paper, which is a bad paper, or which paper is relevant, which is not relevant. So you always see the methodology. And then you see the sample size. If a good sample size, a robust sample size, a huge impact, any biases, any relevance to your research question. Suppose you are studying DMAC, but you are searching DSEC. This is not relevant. Mostly, although lamellar kerat, both are types of lamellar keratoplasty. But if you search DMAC, then it will prioritize your research. Okay, and then systematic reviews and randomized trials are already listed. Then another thing is there are a huge number of papers available, but we cannot go and download each and every one of them. Sometimes they are not downloadable also, and we cannot keep on making notes and all that. So for this, we have citation managers like EndNote and Mendeley, which are the world renowned citation managers. We can organize references for future research and citation. I'll show you how. There's a importance of this, that it automatically generates the bibliography, like in the American medical style or the American Psychological Association style and all. So and you can always keep if you go on PubMed and Google Scholar, there's an option you can put your email there. Whatever new studies and Google Scholars are publishing or getting published, or new papers are coming on, suppose you want to see only on corneal research. So there is a column there, you can type corneal research and cornea papers, and you just type your email ID. So whatever new cornea research will be published, it will come on your mail. In this way, you can get yourself updated. For example, this is an example of Mendeley. So Mendeley is a citation database. Suppose you go to PubMed and you click there, and you can see export to Mendeley. So this paper will come on Mendeley directly. So now if you if you click on this, you see the details, which journal, the year, the pages, the abstract, everything. So in this way, suppose you want 40 papers, you can keep it. And then there is a plugin which you can download and put it in your Word document. From here, if you export that directly, the citation in a particular format comes there. So it makes your work slightly easier and comparatively very easier. And this is another one, the EndNote. Both of them are nearly same. Each has their own merits and demerits. You can use them. So now we have framed the background, that what are the level of evidence available, how to go about PICO framework, what are the few tools we have. Now, how to frame the research? The question comes, what should I do? How should I do? What should I do? Which study I do? What is my research question? When we go first year, when we go to the residency, the guides ask, you search and come. You come with a good research question, but we are puzzled what to do, how to go about, because we have never done this and we have no framework and no background. So first and foremost is now, because since we are very early in our career, we hardly have any clinical experience. It's very difficult to define the problem or the gap. So always we have to define the scientific problem, the pitfall, or what we are missing, or what we have not done in a particular area on a particular set of question. So identify the gap or the problem, and then you have to focus it. Now you just can't take cataract surgery patient and evaluate the outcome. Now you suppose you narrow down your research, complications in cataract surgery in posterior polar cataract. This is how, suppose then the rate of complication or the prevalence and the incidence of complications in PPC. For example, in this way, you can make your research question more focused and specific. Then utilize the PICO framework already discussed, and then ensure that the research addresses a significant issue that can potentially impact clinical practice or advanced knowledge. So suppose we are doing a study in central India, and if you go in literature and we see that nothing has been documented about the ASOCT outcomes of posterior polar cataracts, like how if the PC was intact or not seen on ASOCT, and how the patients fared a post-op. For example, this kind of study has been done in the literature, but not done in central India. So this addresses a research question in that particular region. We can still do that study, but we have to make sure that the sample size is good and the protocol is correct. So in this way, we can frame our research question, and we always should take help of seniors initially in our beginning of a career, because we have a very less background of ophthalmology. Second, like for example, just give you an example. This was during COVID. We were sitting at home. I was just discussing, like, we have nothing to do, what to do now, no patients, nothing. We can't do any study now. So I thought, what to do, what is getting published. So we thought, like, there are a lot of COVID-19 publications in IGO. It was expedited. Like, we're seeing 40, 50 publication in an issue. So I thought, why not see the impact of how the COVID-19 publication has impacted IGO during the 2 years, how the impact factor have risen, and how it has changed the practice pattern. So we designed this paper, and it was expedited publication. In this way, when you think beyond certain aspects, and even if you don't have patients available, you can still design a good paper. I understand. So now coming to now we know now what to answer, what to understand, what to examine, and which patients to take, PICO framework, everything we have done. But now we have to see the feasibility. Now I want to do a study on PPC in Central India, but these patients so frequent or endemic in our area? Are we seeing frequently PPC? How many PPCs we are seeing in a month? This we have to answer. Is this feasible? Is this practicable? Do we have the patient population available with us? Are we seeing 40, 50 patients in 6 months? Do we have ASOCT? So these things has to be answered. This feasibility. Novelty, then confirming the question has not been already comprehensively answered. As I told you, maybe this study has already been done in a lot of places in India or maybe world over, but it has been done in Central India, for example. So if it's not done, still it adds value to our area. And then ethical consideration before starting the study. Make sure that you have the approval available, you are going through the correct guidelines, you are doing the correct intervention. It's not harming the patient, you are not charging too much to the patient, everything has been sorted out. And then suppose you are doubting, like maybe my study will go better or not. So I test the question, conduct a preliminary literature review to test the question and enough supporting data to explore an answer. And you can even do a pilot trial for a month and see, like, are we able to meet the requirement which we are seeing? So in this way, first, research has been designed. Now we see the practical aspects associated with it. For example, traumatic intralenticular. So if you go in literature and you see there are hardly 20, 30 papers available, but majority people have described the outcome, the endophthalmitis. But we thought, why not describe something new? How to describe it in a different way? How this adds something to the literature? So we designed a dumbbell sign in traumatic interlenticular abscess on ASOCT, which was published in Indian Journal of Radiology Imaging, a good journal. So in this way, a common thing, you can design something different out of it. Okay. Then, as already I discussed the PICO framework, population, identify the particular population. Is this population available? Is this these kind of patients are frequently coming? For example, patients with diabetic retinopathy. You'll see diabetic retinopathy in majorly in everywhere. So now this patient population I have. Now what intervention I'm doing? Anti-VEGF therapy. Are we able to give correct anti-VEGF? Patients are affordable. We are able to deliver correct outcomes or not? Then we have to see the intervention. What we are doing, whether we are doing laser therapy, anti-VEGF. Then comparison. Then define what you are comparing. Suppose you are comparing it with the laser therapy, or you are comparing it with the like observation, something like that. And outcome and time. So we have to define all these things, that I am taking these patients for a couple of years, and I'm defining the outcomes. Like I am assessing the visual outcome, I am assessing the anatomical outcome, I'm assessing the other things, like understand. So this helps filter search result to relevant clinical trials or study aligned with the time related outcome. PICO model forms the PICOT model forms the basic framework of a particular study. Now we know what to do, what is available, what are the tools available, what we can do, everything we know. But now, why should we do it? Somebody can ask you, why are you doing it? What is the use of it? So, as Madam has already told initially when she was saying, like, it helps in discovering newer treatment option, innovation, understanding disease better, leading to improved patient care. For example, A lot of studies were done during our period in Python. Now we understand that antibacterials fare up compared to antifungals. So in this way, we know that which treatment options are working better for a particular patient, and also help to understand the patient outcome. That evidence-based research provide data-driven strategy, enhance effectiveness, reducing complication, improving prognosis. Understanding a disease, understanding a particular set of pathology better through evidence-based study will alert you, will alarm you that I don't have to do this in this particular set of patient. Otherwise, I'll not get the correct desired amount of results. Knowledge, it will help to understand the knowledge gaps, designing, suppose newer IOLs which are coming, and now we see that a certain company is claiming that this EDOF gives this much of visual outcome or this much of patient satisfaction. If we do a particular study and we can address the knowledge gap, whether this is really working on a particular patient set of group or not, then also contribute to public health as community, and Madam already highlighted the community aspect. Research in ophthalmology can lead to preventive strategies for blindness and visual impairment, improving quality of life on a global basis. A paper which is published is not read in India or a particular country, it is read world over. So it can influence practice patterns and the outcomes at a global level. Now, this is, we have already understood. Now, how to select a good research topic. Okay. So this is what are the characteristics? I'll share a few things. What are the characteristics of a good research topic? So this is described with the help of a finer criteria. Is the research feasible? As I already told, like, do we have a sample size? Do we have the resources? For example, do we have the required machinery? Do we have the time? Are we doing it at a correct period of time? Like, accessible patient population is there or not? For example, my thesis had 138 sample size. So I had 2 years. So, but unfortunately or fortunately, we had the patient, we had the siblings who were coming up for screening. But in the end, I was able to recruit only 95 patients. So even though the resources are there, population sample size is there, support staff is there, everything is there, sometimes the things may not get planned based. So we have to see what I am doing, is it feasible over the 2-year period or not? And is it interesting? Is it stimulating me? Is it giving me something better out of the available literature? Is it relevant to my clinical practice? Is it keeping the investigator motivated or not? Novel, again, I already described, it should address something new which we are describing. Definitely that paper will have some or the other value in literature, definitely. And ethically, I already described that it should go through the IRB protocol. It should have been it should be approved by the faculty correctly, and then relevant, improve patient care, contribute to scientific knowledge. For example, this is a paper. Already a lot of data is available now, but I thought, why not understand the hypothesis better? Molecular mimicry and all. Something new will have a new impact. So we published this hypothesis on molecular mimicry and host pattern recognition receptor inhibition. Another example of a basic, simple paper, subjective visual experience during intraocular surgery and intravitreal injections against uveitis patient, tertiary eye care. For a simple study, a lot of patients, uveitis patient, we give PST or sometimes IVTA or some other anti-VEGF because of macular edema. How the patient, what is the patient experience? This has been described in retinal surgery, retinal pathology, but not in uveitis patient. So this patient, this subset of population, and this paper was recently published. So now somebody can ask you and come like, sir, there are a lot of things available, but how to select a topic? So you see what is booming currently. For example, AI is booming. You can target AI in corneal disease. Now newer IOLs, newer companies are designing newer IOLs, such as for example, a PRC IOL recently introduced. So you can understand, or you can evaluate the outcomes of premium IOL. And different studies, by going through the different literature, you can see the ocular surface disease and quality of life, teleophthalmology. Just few examples. In this way, you can select a good research question. It should be a novel question. Now, basic aspect of a scientific manuscript. Every student or every resident should know this. IMRAT format, most of them know it. But we should also say every paper has 4 basic aspects. The introduction. How to describe an introduction also is an art. I can discuss this in future classes, but basic framework is what is already known about a particular pathology or a disease or a type of IOL, for example, what is unknown and why this study is getting performed, or what is this study adding, what are the lacunae. Okay, then methodology, as already discussed, should be robust, correct, ethically should be, if a good sample size should be there, the design should have no flaws, everything should be feasible. So study design, inclusion, exclusion criteria should be described, data collection, statistical analysis. Results are the findings which we get through our study. The tables and figures have to be described correctly, and interpretation and discussion in the end, describing with the and comparing our paper with the existing literature, understanding the strength and limitations and the clinical impact of that paper, and the design future directions, anything which this study is leading to, what are the future prospects available. And additionally, we have an abstract which we already read, and the keywords, the references, the ethics statement and concept. This is the basic IMRAT format of a paper. This every student should know. Then coming to the pitfalls in clinical research. So now we know everything, but still now we have done the study, but something is missing, like something wrong we have done. So it's always better to know what wrong can go, so that we should not get into trap in the end when we have already done the study, and now we are in a like pitfall, like, oh, I didn't do this, I did this wrong, or something was missing. So always and always starting a research with a clear research question, that is very important, and you should understand that this should be novel and should add some value. Inadequate literature review, as already described, a lot of tools are available, different levels of evidence are available. We should always do a good literature review before embarking and stating that this is missing in the literature, or we are doing something new. Suppose I am stating that I am doing something new, but unfortunately I have not done the correct literature review and this is already described. Then you are in trap. And poor study design methodology, as I already described, that there comes the importance of documentation. Suppose something is not documented. When you are filling the Excel sheet, some data is missing. Now you can't evaluate, you can't proceed with the study. So this is a poor study design and methodology. Methodology was correct, but still the sample size or something is missing. Then statistics has own importance. Small sample size pilot trials in a novel study will suffice, but a small sample size on already described literature will have very, very less impact, less value, and there is hardly a good chance of getting the study published in a good literature journal. And correct statistical analysis is very important. So there are few ways of doing the statistical analysis. This is a totally different totally different subject. Statistical, suppose some patients you have seen and you just quoted the prevalence and the incidence, and you have just quoted the percentage. Your outcome or your results are statistically weak. There are no p-values. There is no comparisons. There are no comparisons with the data groups and all. So in this way, you should always contact a good statistician, because statistics, we have only basic knowledge, and you should see the previous paper, what statistics have been done there. Do we have a more robust statistic, more better statistics, or are we missing something? So in this way, before starting the paper, you should see all these things. And selection of observer bias. Just give you an example. Suppose you are doing phacoemulsification, heart cataract. Now you already know that these are dilated pupils, heart cataract. You are assigning them on your own. Here you are doing a selection bias. And if you are blinded and you don't know, and you are randomly assigning to different group, then that is the correct. Suppose some small people with brown cataract and you are randomly assigning to a particular, then you are doing the correct. So randomization and selection bias is very important. Documentation error, I already told you, incomplete records. Ethics, integrity, IRB approval, correct should be presented before the all concerned faculty and all, and get approval should be done. You should not be doing some invasive procedure, and that should not harm the patient. You should not be charging too much to the patient, and what are you doing, and whatever should be described and correctly explained to the patient. And if you have done everything correct, in spite of that, but you are targeting keratoconus study, suppose in a IOL journal or a basic journal, so you are doing wrong. If you target a keratoconus study in a cornea journal, that is a huge higher chance of getting it accepted. And in the end, it comes like, even if you have done everything wrong correctly, but your paper has you have not designed the paper correctly, you're not following the guidelines, you're not putting everything in perspective, then again there is a chance that paper may not get published. So just to recap and put what are the keys to a successful research and publication. So always ask yourself, like, any good question which is missing, ask an important cleaner. Always do a good thorough research and literature review. Methodology should be crisp, fine, should be compared with previous study. You can even copy the methodology from different study. You can quote the study saying that the methodology was taken from the study, because that is how a paper is designed. That is a correct ethical paper. Maintain data records correctly, follow the ethical principles. You should not be bluffing data. You should not be doing anything wrong. Collaborate with your seniors, mentors, statistician, writing clearly and concisely and within the word limit, selecting the target journal, responding to reviewers. This comes in the end, and continue learning from every submission. A submission which you have done and getting rejected, you should learn from it. How can I improve? Constructive criticism should be the target strategy. So advantages of doing research, it helps you to grow professionally and gives you recognition early in your career. I'll show you how. And help you to understand the decision making, help you to understand your subject also better. Like, this disease is doing this. You are able to understand a particular set of population better. You can access grants and funding early in your career. If you are doing a good study and has a good impact, you're presenting somewhere, you can even you can access the grant. And suppose you are published on a particular paper, you can even collaborate with different colleagues and researchers, mentors, seniors. It will help you to, because they will be happy to collaborate with you since you have published a lot on a particular paper. For example, now starting 2020, 2019, I had the first paper. Now I have around 300 papers. You can, if you continuously if you always inquisitive and always publishing, you can achieve very early in this your career. 6 years, you can achieve 300 papers. There is an example of publishing papers on Pythium. One person asked me for this was from China. He mailed me. I gave him the treatment, and luckily the patient had a good outcome. So in this way, people can seek clinical treatment. And we presented our research in the Kuala Lumpur APO, so we got a grant for it from AIS. In this way, you can access grants. And just example of collaborations from different institute. If you know people, if you see people will see you are publishing good amount of literature, you have that neck, people are ready to collaborate, and you can take it to a next level. And just thanking you for all the support. My mentors reaching. You can also reach here by doing stimulating yourself, kicking start early in your career, doing 440 papers, and then PubMed. You can, and you see, publish around 25 papers now on PyKM. 3 are in peer review now. So you can, if you start you can take a particular disease. You can go into the depth, understand it better. You can design different papers. And if you see, there are total 115 papers. Out of that, I have 23 papers. And now you see the amount of citations you can get early in your career. If you one article, we have around 450 citations now. So very important to getting stimulated at a correct point of time, starting early in your career. The times have changed. There is a lot of importance of clinical research in current era. And this will help you to become a very, very good clinician. This will improve your thinking. This will give you a lot of opportunities, just like I have one. And recently I published one book also on cornea. Thank you so much. And I'll stop my share here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Bharat, for the excellent talk. I think we are really impressed with your so many publications here at so early age. So my one question is about the meta-analysis and systemic review. So how many should be there, the minimum publication or minimum study which you compile the data, and is there any minimum?
No, sir, as such, it's not minimum.
Okay.
The important part about meta-analysis is, like, you have to see first thing, like, how many papers are available and how many are accessible to you. Sometimes what happens, the papers are not accessible. They are like in some journals where you cannot access them without payment. Okay. So then you may have, and then you have to design your question size. For example, in this meta-analysis we published in Pythium, we just saw the visual outcomes and the outcomes of therapeutic keratoplasty. So we answered only 2 questions. So we narrowed down our paper. Then it will narrow down your search. Like, even though there are 115 papers available, then we took only 22 or 23 papers. And now few papers which were not openly available, we contacted the authors. Like, will you be able to take part in this, and will you be able to share your data? So some people shared. So they were given the authorship in that. So in this way, it's not like particular papers or like that. There are meta-analysis available which are only 6 papers out of 700. So it is in this way what you are assessing and what is your research question that like designs your that narrow down your papers to
Yes,
meta-analysis.
but
It's not
all
like
the study will have the different methodology, no? Then how you
yeah, correct.
combine the data?
So you have
They
to
have
narrow
all the
down
different
those
outcomes.
papers
Yeah.
only which have all those data available.
Okay.
Only those papers
Yeah.
which have this data available. And suppose you are not able to access some data, you can exclude those papers. You can say that this was not openly available or it was in some other language or something like that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, any comment from any other chairpersons? Dr. Sophia, you want to say anything?
Yes, it was a very elaborative talk on research methodology, and as we are already involved in research methodology because we have got DNB students, and that is the one important thing he said, that a question should click you, that you have seeing many patients is a more common condition, but that question, if it clicks you, then you go for it, and then you search for the literature. But one thing I wanted to ask, if it is a rare thing, you said the sample size should be big enough so that study is more reliable. So the condition is patients are less. Just we did a study on amblyopia and OCT changes, and the second is studying on diabetic retinopathy and the effects of different injections.
Yes.
So in one case, the sample size is huge, and the amblyopia, the sample is hardly 100.
Yeah. So what I usually do, I
Yes.
design my research paper. I just design the protocol initially. Then
Yes.
I have a few statisticians who are very good. So I always contact them.
We also get in touch with the
Yeah,
statistician.
so they will ask you 4 or 5 good papers with which are the like landmark papers or which are the highest sample size.
For
So
the
based
review of
on that,
literature.
5 to 10 papers you have send them. Based on that, they will design and decide like what will be the sample size out of considering the 10% amount of loss to follow up and all that. So they have the sample size calculation formula, and based on the literature available, he will give you the desired sample size. So if it's rare, then hardly any literature will be available. Already the sample is expected to be less. If it's a common condition, and then it will be based on what is the
like
literature.
Nowadays it is
Here the
retinopathy
importance
and
of
glaucoma.
literature comes into play. Yeah, importance of literature and recent papers, good papers, landmark papers we should not miss, and we should send them. And usually the statistician helps you to design your sample size.
So how many years back we should collect review of literature? 10 years or 5 years?
10 years
Usually
is
take
like
10 years.
This is like, it's not like this is like, suppose I am doing a bibliometric analysis. I was trying to publish one paper recently, bibliometric analysis. Now, if you do, suppose you are doing bibliometric analysis, then you have to go back and when was the first paper published? Okay. Suppose you are doing a particular thesis, then at least the recent last 10 year papers should be there.
Recent last 10 years.
Because so if 15 to 20 years back, whatever papers have been published, the protocols have changed, maybe the patient presentations have changed, the outcomes have changed. So at least last 10 years. I recently did a review of literature of a recent dry eye treatment. So I took last 10 year papers, and it was accepted.
10 years is good enough.
Yeah, 1 decade at least. Yeah, recent decade.
And one thing you mentioned about mesh terminology, that I wanted to get it clear.
Actually, this is more of theoretical rather than practical. It is described in literature like we should use mesh terminologies and all. Hardly anyone uses it, but you can, like I told you, like for example, age-related macular degeneration. Now, if you just type macular degeneration, it will give you hypotenuse macular degeneration or like myopic macular degeneration, macular degeneration due to wet AMD. So in this way, this will become hazard. If you just type age-related macular degeneration, it will just give you dry AMD papers like that. This is the importance of mesh technology. If I type pythium keratitis, is called by another species. So then it will give you the keratitis papers from all pythium. Then if you type pythium insidiousum keratitis, then it will narrow down your search. Pure CIOL or EDOF IOL, for example, EDOF IOL, you'll see all EDOF IOL, but a pure CIOL, narrow downing to what is already described terminology for a particular set of condition or a disease or something.
So when you select a research, then we should have a minimum questions, 1 or 2. Many questions will complicate the study. But
Ideally,
we will have to take
yeah,
many parameters.
first is always do a literature review and then see. Suppose I'm thinking something and I see like, यार ये patient में ऐसा नहीं हुआ. I didn't see a good outcome. So well, like maybe my treatment is not
Sure.
correct or something. Then I should go into literature and see what has been described. Whether I am missing something or I am really missing something which is not described. For example, outcomes of linezolid in pythium, then outcomes of clarithromycin in pythium. So linezolid has been described, but are we blindly giving clarithromycin or has been described? Then we can randomize. We can give one group clarithromycin, we can give one group linezolid. Understand? So literature review, background knowledge will help you to design your research question better and may answer your queries which you are thinking. We should always think something, suppose something is not working for us, then we should always think like I am missing something or I am doing something wrong or whether I am seeing something new. That it can have two possibilities. Either you are not correct or you are missing something. Then if you are missing something, that is a research question already. For example, OSSN. I was trying Ripatech initially. Now, OSSN sometimes for a longer period, we have to give steroids to reduce the inflammation associated. So, what happens? Sometimes patients keep on using it and they'll have secondary glaucoma. So, we are using anti-glaucoma associated. So, I thought, why not try Ripatech T with it and see whether is it doing something better for this. One arm I can give MMC, one arm. Is there any role of Ripatech T in ocular surface disease? That was I was trying to answer. Yeah, but unfortunately it didn't show any response. Although there may be some hidden literature available, I have to go into detail, but I was trying in this way. You can try a lot of things and go about it. And if something novel comes out, you can describe it like that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So any other questions from anyone? Now I invite PG students to ask question.
Yes, sir.
Anyone from Rio Rims? Any question
Yes,
from any PG student?
good afternoon, sir. It was actually a very informative study. And as just a resident who has just submitted her thesis, this was actually very useful. And I hope I would have more insight into it before doing my research. And I would also like to thank my guide and mentor, Professor Dr. Sunil Kumar, sir, because we were just residents and we were very new into ophthalmology. We were not aware of the terminologies. We used to trouble sir a lot for small and very silly doubts. And sir has been there throughout, helping us throughout our research. And so my question is, uh, first of all, the most tedious thing in doing a research at the end is like managing your references. That is one question. And secondly, sir, with the advent of and the evolution around us, we are seeing artificial intelligence is something which is now there. And is also the future. Artificial intelligence is also the future. So, sir, what role can AI play in helping us in doing our research methodology? And just, I feel AI can just reduce the time and can also give us the points in a very informative way. But, sir, there are also many platforms which have AI detectors and they don't let you use too much AI. So, how to deal with it? And so, secondary, plagiarism is also a very big factor because the apps like Turnitin and all, they have very silly words also which they'll take as plagiarism. So there's no option that you can change the given definitions as they are in ophthalmology or any scientific way. So how to deal with these problems? So, and I wish I would have known these things before doing my thesis. So I want others to know because this actually every resident faces this problem by doing their research.
So now, actually, you have three questions. So I'll answer each of them one by one. First was references. So even when I had published a lot of papers, after that I only got to know about Mental and EndNote. I was not using it earlier, and truly I am not using it today also because they are slightly complex. They are very difficult. They are not user friendly. For some, they are very user friendly. If you see people from West and all, they will use all these things. So, but I always believe that manual citation quotation is far easier and a better job, and it saves a lot of time. So, for example, one paper we were writing in sympathetic ophthalmia, and one of my colleagues, senior colleagues, told, please do only with Mendeley or EndNote. So I used it. I took a lot of time to do it. Then what happened in the advantage? I'll tell you the disadvantage and advantage. Disadvantage is it's a very time consuming. Whatever you can do in a couple of days, it takes 7-8 days, because
Yes.
taking the papers, then refining them, putting in folders, then citing them, reading them becomes difficult. Rather than then another the advantage is, if you suppose do the bibliometry, suppose you cite them, the references in number. Suppose you have cited 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now you want to delete one paper. Now you want to delete one citation in the Word document. Fifth, it automatically changes the reference number
Reference
in the
number.
Word document. That is the only advantage I saw. Suppose you are manually deleting it, then you have to change manually everything. That is the only advantage I saw. The disadvantage was very time consuming. Still, I don't use it. I have a different way of doing it, and I always do it on my way. And because in the end, you have to cite at least 30 or 35 citations. For a thesis, maybe it will take a lot of time, but it is very mind-boggling. It takes time. And coming to the artificial intelligence, very important, very, very important. It has totally changed the way I was doing or people were doing research, because earlier we were everything doing manually. We were typing, we were writing, we were searching, we were jotting down, and the paper used to take a month to write. Now that can be done in a couple of days. That is a very, very big advantage. But
That is true.
taking that into account, the limitation is it's not totally accurate. First of all, you have
Yeah,
to take
I
into
agree with
mind that whatever you have copied from AI, for example, ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Claude, you should not totally rely on it. You should
yes.
always use your mind, and you should always read the text and then refine it. Now there are ways and tricks to do it. Now it's not like you just paste and copy, because suppose you type something, I want to get an introduction for DSEC. Then it will give you an introduction. It will give you point wise. It will give you blindly. It will give you. But you just not totally copy it and paste it. Then you should refine on your own way. You should read it. You see anything missing, any wrong words. Suppose visual acuity he has written differently or wrong, or spelling is wrong. Something you have to check for the correctness, and how it should be presented in a paper. You should give that shape to it. That is very important, because if you directly copy and paste it, everyone will know this is copied from ChatGPT, so they will immediately reject it. But if you humanize it, this is called humanizing the AI. If you give it a humanized touch, then it will I have published a lot of papers with totally with AI. I tell you, I have published a lot of papers totally, but they are being checked ethically. Everything is correct. And the another important thing, you totally don't rely on the references. References are totally wrong from any AI software. So references have to be definitely cross-checked. Don't think that my work is done, everything is over. Otherwise, you are in trap. You should not. Otherwise, you are not doing ethical research. Also, you are not searching anything. You are doing correct. You are doing wrong. Otherwise, it is very simple. If it's very easy to publish a paper like this, then what is the use of publishing a paper like this? So take advantage, help of the AI tool, but don't totally rely on it. Use your mind, because AI is not going to replace humans. That is for sure. Yeah, my how I think, what I do, I am giving instructions to AI. AI is not doing everything on its own. So it's always like that. What was the third question?
Sir, on plagiarism, because there are certain
Plagiarism,
apps
yeah.
which take the simple words of
Turn it in.
files.
I tried initially. I got access to it from one of my friends in US, but it's very costly. And every time you can't just keep on boggling someone like, you please give me turn it in access. Understand? So the best tool which we have is Grammarly available with us. You can
Grammar.
use
Yes.
Grammarly. I have a paid version of Grammarly, and if you put your PG ID card there, you get 50% off on it. So it's around 10,000 or 12,000 per year. So you get it for 5-6,000, and it is for available for a year. Very accurate, very nice. Plagiarism is totally accurate with it. And even suppose you are generating something with AI, you just guide the comment like, please give me plagiarism free content. So mostly you are getting through it. So there is no need for those costly softwares and all. Grammarly is good enough. I am using it for years now, and it is doing wonder. But with the advent of AI, the English is usually very good. You don't need to use it, but still double check it with Grammarly. It will be
Yeah.
real. Plagiarism, you can check. You can check the wrong, any mistakes are there, and other things also it gives. The paid version is very good.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Sir, we have to take other questions also.
Sure, sure.
So
Thank you.
any other PG students want to ask anything?
Sir,
any
I have a
previous
question. Can I ask Dr.
Yeah,
Sunil?
yeah, please go, ma'am. Yeah, please go.
Yeah. So, as Dr. Bharat mentioned that you can use AI to, check the English or from Grammarly and all those things. Don't you think after 4 or 5 years there will be, high-end tools to identify those things and it will affect our credibility?
they're already there, and you are not doing anything wrong. You can mention even in the paper in the last that the for English refinement I use the AI tool. They will not reject your paper.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can
So
mention it.
those things you have to
Yeah,
mention.
you
Okay.
can even mention that
Okay.
images were generated with the help of this tool, or you have to be ethically correct. You're not doing anything wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
There are
Yeah,
ways,
thank
and
you.
every journal has a different AI protocol. You just go in the website and read how they have designed. If they are saying that we totally don't accept it, then you have to be careful. For example, JCRS, they're very particular about it. But if you give that a humanoid touch, change your language slightly, they won't be able to identify. Even if they are identifying, you can quote it. There is no,
Okay.
you're
Thank you.
not doing anything wrong. You're doing it on your own. You're not copying anything. You're just generating, you are giving instructions to AI.
Yeah, any
Okay.
other any question from
So,
any other postgraduate students?
no postgraduate, they have all joined
Yeah.
and not responding. So the winner is Anamika Chaudhary,
Yeah, thank you.
the winner of this, because she is the one who
Who was the
participated.
person?
So Anamika Chaudhary was winner in the cornea session also, and she is winner of 3 prizes because she won in cornea session, she won in research methodology, and a special prize from Dr. BP Kashyap sir. So you won 3 prizes,
Thank you.
right? So on the CME day, Dr. Sunil sir will hand over it to you. Okay. So you people all stay connected for the leadership sessions, because there are 2 sessions and we have prizes for leadership session also. So over to so we are very thankful to Bharat Gurnani.
Thank you, ma'am.
That he took time off and taught us so well, and we will be continuing with you for 4 more sessions. So we will do 5 sessions with you. So to help us, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you.
Hope it was very useful.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
Yes,
Bharat.
definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
So